Silence in the black. The stars didn't scream. They never did. Not even when worlds burned beneath them. Not when civilizations collapsed into ash and data ghosts. To the stars, war was quiet, cold, eternal. Fleet Commander Zelvar of the Core Dominion stood at the bridge of the Vengeance of Suns. A dreadnought so vast it had moons orbiting its gravity anchors. He stared at the vastness ahead, at the derelict starfields where the humans had last been seen. "Scan again," he growled, voice clicking through his mandibles. This region was their last recorded fallback point. "Yes, Exalted," replied the sensor drone, a sleek sphere of living alloy. "No human signatures for 57 cycles. Only dark debris, derelicts, and decayed signal bands. Nothing can hide from the Dominion," Zelvar hissed. "They fled like prey, reclaimed Sol, burned their homeworlds. Their last fleets vanished. Cowards. All of them." Yet something itched in the back of his skull, an unease he refused to speak aloud. He wasn't alone in it. They'd called it the retreat of mankind, a mass vanishing after humanity lost Earth. The Core Dominion had conquered their colonies, glassed their cities, taken their technology. But no one ever found the last Terran warfleets. Some said they'd self-destructed in shame. Others claimed they hadn't retreated at all, that they'd gone beyond. "Contact," the sensor drone suddenly chirped. A mass shift, far edge of the dark plane. A ripple in graviton bands. "Visual," Zelvar snapped. The bridge lights dimmed. The view screen expanded into a full dome around them, displaying empty space. Then, a shimmer, a ripple, then a shape emerged. It was massive, larger than any core ship, angular, cruel in design, silent, human. "Impossible," one of the bridge tacticians whispered. "That's not a ship. That's a myth." The vessel drifted forward, lights deactivated. The hull bore no markings. It looked like it had been forged in hatred. Its angles were sharp enough to slice the void. Its engines glowed with nothing but cold radiation, muted but furious. The Dominion had assumed humans built with clunky desperation. This ship was purpose incarnate. "Unidentified vessel," Zelvar transmitted in standard galactic code. "You have entered core-controlled space. Identify." Silence. Then, from the black, a voice. Not a transmission. A direct, telepathic intrusion. Old tech. Forbidden tech. But it was undeniably human. "You thought we fled. But we never run. We waited. We watched. We built. This is not a return. This is a reckoning." Every core system flared red. Suddenly, from behind the massive Terran warship, others emerged, 8, 10, 12, one after another. Ships thought long gone. Vessels that bore the scars of Sol's last defense. But now they had evolved. Modified. Enhanced. Worse, alive. "EMP shields," Zelvar roared. "Activate interdictors. Raise fleet-wide alarms." But it was too late. The stars lit up. Not from the core's weapons, but from the pulse wave detonations of human dreadnoughts firing in silent, synchronized hatred. The Dominion's forward fleets were shredded before they could even retaliate. Not a single human transmission called for surrender. They weren't here to negotiate. On the bridge of the largest ship, buried in the dark armor of what had once been the human vessel TNS Leviathan, a single figure sat motionless. His body part man, part AI, part ghost. General Vance Carter, once thought lost during the fall of Luna, now stared out with silver eyes. "We waited," he whispered, "for this exact moment." Around him, the ship breathed. Its walls pulsed with a biosynthetic rhythm. His thoughts merged with his own. They had become something more than soldiers. They had become the nightmare waiting beyond the dark. In the Dominion's outer sectors, alarms screamed. In core-controlled space, hundreds of ships began to blink off the network. One after another, silently, perfectly, as if a hand had reached through space and turned them off. Because it had. Ghost protocols activated. The Dominion fleet was in flames. Not metaphorically, literally. Giant void-hardened dreadnoughts spun out of control, hulls cracking like glass under the coordinated strikes of the Terran Ghost Armada. And it was an armada silent, precise, and terrifying in its resurrection. From the shattered remnants of what the core had assumed were dead ships, 13 more human vessels appeared, emerging from cloaked slipspace nodes hidden between gravity shadows. That meant at least 25 human warships now bore down on the Dominion's front line. But they weren't just warships. They were weapons of vengeance, each one alive, each one angry. In the Dominion's central command center on Junka Prime, chaos reigned. High Archon Velzutha's voice shrieked across a dozen command hives. I want every orbital cannon, every mine net, every hunter drone turned on that sector. Burn it down. Burn the void. Why are they back? His advisors flinched at his rage. But none of them had answers. The data feeds from the border fleet flickered with corrupted frames. Static, distortion, and death. One final transmission remained intact from the dreadnought Vengeance of Suns. It wasn't a retreat. It was an ambush. They never left the war. They became it. And then it cut to black. Aboard the human warship, TNS Leviathan Reborn. The interior was unlike any ship built during the old Earth Confederacy. Pulsed like muscle, whispered like wind through dead leaves. At its heart was the command node, part throne, part interface. General Vance Carter stood, encased in reactive armor grown into his body. Neural spines traced from his skull into the living AI woven through the Leviathan's hull. Targets acquired, the AI whispered. Core fleet fragmentation at 78%. Shall we press the assault? Carter didn't smile. He never smiled. Not yet, he said. Let them crawl back. Let them think they've survived the opening salvo. Why? Asked the AI. Because fear is a better weapon than mass drivers. They broke Earth and expected us to scatter. We didn't scatter, Carter said. We seeded the dark. The AI pulsed in agreement. 1 week earlier, the deep black, human staging zone Shroud Bastion, tucked into the gravity well of a dead neutron star, hidden from galactic sensors, lay Shroud Bastion, a massive human installation carved into an ancient asteroid. It was humanity's last deep black stronghold, invisible to Dominion tech. Inside, leaders long thought dead had gathered in secret. Admiral Reyes, last known survivor of the Titan shipyards. Colonel Idris Val, whose brain had been uploaded into an AI shell. Dr. Meredith Jane, architect of the Ghost Fleet protocols. General Carter, resurrected from death after the battle for Luna's core. Each of them had one thing in common. They'd been reborn by the war. Operation Eclipse Phase is a go, Carter said to the gathered command. A holographic map displayed Dominion territory in red. Flashpoints, dozens marked key core sectors, weapon hubs, and comm relays. Each of our ghost ships will emerge from the void at the precise moment. Strategic nodes, shipyards, fuel relays. We hit them, disappear again. No transmissions. No demands. Just death, Colonel Val added. Dr. Jane nodded grimly. They will think we are shadows. Wraiths. They will doubt their own sensors, their own minds. And when they begin to panic, then we move the Leviathan. Carter's voice cut through the dark room like a blade. We make them understand the stars are no longer safe. Humanity is the dark. Present day, Dominion Outer System, Tulveth. A mining colony with 3 moons and over 200,000 Dominion citizens. Untouched by war. Soft. Unarmed. Perfect message point. From above the 3rd moon, a single human frigate uncloaked. The TNS Umbra. Not large, not fast, but deadly in its elegance. Inside, Captain Lynn Cross gave no speech. She gave no ultimatum. She simply spoke into the void. Execute pattern. Veil of ash. What followed wasn't a bombing. It was disassembly. Nanite swarms rained from the Umbra's underbelly, invisible to visual tracking. In under 3 minutes, every orbital defense system melted. Every satellite converted into data dust. Every communications relay infected. The colony screamed. And then it was silent. No one had died. But no one could speak to the outside again. They were now cut off, alone in a galaxy that no longer had rules. Back aboard the Leviathan, Carter's eyes narrowed. Phase 2, he said coldly. Hit their communication pillars. Cripple their hyperspace gates. I want their fleets trapped in their own sectors. The AI responded with pleasure. Understood. Releasing protocols, Gorgon and Arachne. From the flanks of the Ghost Armada, 2 dread carriers emerged, TNS Gorgon and TNS Arachne, each carrying dozens of stealth-enabled drone swarms. They vanished into the stars without a sound. Their job? Paralyze. Within hours, entire Dominion trade lanes would fall silent. Warships would be isolated. Panic would erupt. Humanity wasn't returning with declarations. It was returning like a virus in the blood of an empire. Inside the Dominion High Council core worlds. We have underestimated them, hissed War Minister Croth. Underestimated. Archon Velzuth spat. We erased their cradle. Their fleets were burned. No, whispered his advisor. We only burned what we could see. The rest hid, grew, changed. Another counselor added. The last war made them something else. We assumed victory ended them, but it transformed them. A deep silence followed, and then came a message. Not a live broadcast. No visual. Just coordinates. One set. Location Core Prime Shipyards. And beneath it, 2 words in perfect Dominion script. We remember. The war had begun again. But this time, humanity wasn't defending. They were hunting. The sky will burn with our return. Dominion Core World, Core Prime Shipyards. 72 hours later. The stars over Core Prime dimmed as the shadow of the Leviathan fell across the shipyards. It was larger than anything the Dominion had seen. A juggernaut of blackened alloys, fused bone metal, and pulsating energy fields. More fortress than ship, more myth than machine. Sirens screamed. Anti-void cannons swiveled. Defense drones scrambled to intercept. Too late. The Leviathan fired once. Just once. A beam of crystallized graviton collapse ripped across the orbital ring, turning half of Core Prime's shipyard into glass. The energy tore through layers of hardened alloy like it was parchment, leaving only a halo of incandescent wreckage drifting across the skyline. They had no defense, because the war they were prepared for wasn't this. Inside the Dominion Council Tower, panic erupted. They're not even trying to negotiate. We have millions on that orbital platform. Where are our fleets? Why aren't they responding? Because, said War Minister Croth, his voice like broken glass, they are all cut off. Every hyperspace gate, every long-range comm relay, even our shadow fleets, they're isolated. The room fell into horrified silence. Then the holoscreen flickered, and a man appeared, not a Dominion envoy, not a creature of this empire, but a human, a face known only in the ancient archives of war. His left eye glowed with void light. His body was fused to armor. His voice calm. I am General Vance Carter. Terran Command. Leviathan-class Warlink designation. Ghost Sovereign. You broke Earth. We remember. You hunted us across the stars. We endured. And when you thought we were gone, we became the darkness between systems. Now you will learn what humanity becomes when it stops running. He leaned forward. The camera trembled slightly, as if even the Dominion systems recoiled from his presence. This isn't conquest. This is justice. And then the screen went black. Hours later, across Dominion territory, every fleet in the core Dominion received the same message. Every outpost, every ship, every command relay. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a declaration. It was data, raw, brutal footage of Dominion atrocities committed during the War of Cinders. Entire cities turned to slag. Human civilians atomized. Generations erased. And then, after each clip, a flash of a new human vessel. Each one unique. Each one waiting. Each one with a single identifier. Ghost Fleet operational. Awaiting judgment protocol. Dominion fringe system, last defense bastion. The Dominion's last intact superfleet gathered here. Hundreds of cruisers. Dozens of dreadnoughts. Orbital rail cannons. This was the wall they believed would stop the ghosts. They waited in formation. Calm. Ready. Then the sky tore open. From ruptured space folds came 18 Terran ghost ships, each one bearing different designs. Some sleek and elegant, others monstrous, shaped by AI and horror. One even resembled a leviathan of the deep oceans, tentacles of plasma lashing out before its hull even cooled. They didn't send warnings. They executed. A wave of EMPs knocked out long-range targeting. Subspace torpedoes detonated inside ship shields. Human boarding parties, enhanced by nanovoid armor, tore through command decks like reapers. One core admiral activated self-destruct. The humans let him. They watched. And then they marked the coordinates, a reminder for the next core ship that tried to hide instead of fight. The Dominion's last wall collapsed. Back aboard the Leviathan, General Carter stood before the viewing dome. Below, the Dominion capital burned in orbit. He watched in silence. Behind him, Dr. Jane approached. "We can end it now," she said. "They'll sue for peace. Beg for it." "Let them," Carter answered. "We don't need to erase them. Just make sure they never forget." She stared out the glass, voice lower now. "They called us primitives once. They thought we needed saving. Culling. Subjugation." Carter finally turned to her, his voice cold and final. "We don't need to save the galaxy. We just needed it to fear us again." 1 month later, Dominion Council broadcast. Final. A shriveled version of the once proud Archon Velzuth appeared on every galactic channel. His ceremonial armor shattered, his voice shaking. "We declare ceasefire. All hostilities with human remnants hereby ended. In exchange for peace, we offer our systems, our archives, and our sovereignty. The core Dominion is no more." Epilogue, Terra's Void Monument. In the dead center of the galaxy, a black monolith now floats, unregistered, unmarked, broadcasting only one encrypted message. To humans, it reads, "We didn't survive the war. We became it." To aliens, it broadcasts a simple warning. "Humanity sleeps in the dark. Wake us and burn."